And we're off. Again. Well, obviously you can't tell, but I think this is the third time I'm starting the fourth episode. At first I started to record and I got around, I don't know how many minutes, but I think I was somewhere halfway through the episode I wanted to record. I suddenly felt like, okay, no, this has got to stop right here, right now. I was talking about boundaries there, and, well, ironically, I almost stepped on somebody else's boundaries. So, yeah, that's why I stopped mid-episode, and, well, apparently, I deleted it somehow. I wanted to pick up right before I made that mistake, but it seems I have to start over, and I'm starting over for the second time because something didn't feel right. I mean, I made a silly mistake, and I was just, I froze. Then I felt a slight hint of shame, so I just, started over. Yeah, so those are my feelings. I feel a little bit ashamed for having such a long break in recording, but I guess, well, I really want to not have too high expectations, and I saw another TikTok which inspired me not to force doing things if I don't feel like it. I mean, creatively, which kind of instinctively I was doing already, but it kind of, got to me for a second or gazillionth time. And, yeah, so here we are. I feel like talking to you guys right now, and that's what I'm gonna do. So I already forgot if I mentioned this, but hello, welcome. Hope you have a beverage of your choice, tea, coffee, anything else. Just sit back, relax, and let's talk about mental health for a bit. And hopefully you will find something that might inspire you, something you may relate to, or just something you will find interesting. Or for just, if you want to listen to, I don't know, doing the dishes, or if you don't have anything else to listen to. Either way, I'm honored you're here, and I'm really grateful you're listening to this. Yeah, because I want to say that I'm grateful, and I really am, for everyone that is listening to this, because well, I do have, these really high expectations that this is going to be some kind of, I don't know what kind of project, that is going to explode, go viral, and everything in between. But truth is, it makes my life easier to talk about certain stuff that I'm going through. Well, one thing, I did cover that in the first episode, but just wanted to remind you guys that I really have this really enormous feeling inside me that the world is just fucked, and that it doesn't look like how it should, and everything is flawed, people are flawed, and okay, I mean, I am saying that people are flawed, but that's a huge understatement. It's like a euphemism, but it went on crack cocaine, and now it's an addict, and yeah, the world is just fucked. in so many ways that I feel this kind of huge pain inside me, because I have this feeling that there is so little I can do, which is a lie, obviously, because I do believe that whatever I feel strong enough to do is doing something, and is just about enough for the moment. And I think I really shouldn't feel bad that I can't do more, but I really can't, because it's killing me. It's absolutely killing me to give too much of myself. I've heard this metaphor that when you get involved emotionally, you have to have this kind of reserve in your wallet, an emotional an emotional pile of money to, if you run out of energy, that you can just reach to your wallet and somehow recharge a bit. But I don't have that. Emotionally, I'm running on a huge credit, and so emotionally I'm in debt, and that's why I really can't do more. But the things that I can do is just be here and at least try to leave the world a slightly bit better than I found it when I came to be. And that's what I'm trying to do. So this is one thing. And with that lengthy intro, let's go to the topic that I wanted to talk about. As I've mentioned before, this episode was supposed to be about boundaries, but I had an idea to talk about something else, but now that I'm here sitting in front of the mic, I really don't know what to say, but I really want to say it really hard, and I think we are going to talk about boundaries a bit, because all my life I've had a huge problem with boundaries, with setting up boundaries, with respecting my own boundaries and the boundaries of other people, which is quite obvious if I don't have any kind of even instinctive notion people have boundaries, that these boundaries shouldn't be invaded in any way. Then how the hell would am I supposed to know how to behave if I've never actually known the notion firsthand, and no one taught me about that. And I'm not talking about the things that they tell you probably at school, that if anyone just walks up to you when you're a kid and just offers you something, that you should say no, or find the nearest next adult, or anything, right? So these are the things that you kinda know because they're taught in school, but that's just scratching the surface, in my opinion, because there's a far greater underlying problem of boundaries that I had and still have, which is that no one actually taught me about personal boundaries. I mean, in day-to-day life, because when someone walks up to you when you're a kid and wants to harm you in any kind of way and just offers you something for free and things like that, that's, I know these things happen, and they happen way too often than they should. I mean, they shouldn't happen in the first place, but they do happen, and far too often. And but I still treat and think about these situations somehow as extremes. And the real thing I wanted to talk about is the boundaries that every single human being should have. I mean, okay, theoretically everyone has boundaries, but you should have this kind of notion that those boundaries are there for a reason, and that nobody, I mean nobody, should ever step over those boundaries. And well, this is a thought that I just had right now, that I think we are being taught. I mean, okay, I am being taught as an adult in therapy. I'm 37 years old right now, and I'm still struggling with the notion of people respecting my own boundaries, right? So I'm learning to have this kind of notion that no one should invade my boundaries, in the hope that once I learn to respect my own boundaries, that I will also respect somebody else's boundaries. But why aren't we taught about, respect other people's boundaries? You should know, okay, here's an ambulance coming. Yeah, I told you guys some time before that I live next to a street with a significant amount of traffic, and it does happen that an ambulance or the police or any kind of services would be going outside, and most probably you will hear every once in a while some kind of sound like that. But yeah, going back to what I started with, why am I being taught to respect my own boundaries and not to respect other people's boundaries? And I mean, not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that I'm being taught to defend myself instead of not being the attacker. And I think the ideal world would be that everyone from a young age is, just being taught not to be the attacker, not to be the assailant or the invader of somebody else's boundaries, and then everybody else will have their... You wouldn't have to be in a position to defend yourself if no one's attacking you. Because when you're learning to defend yourself, I know I am also learning subconsciously that if I need to look after my own boundaries, that there is some kind of danger exterior to me, and I should be aware not to get injured emotionally. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but I think that's kind of another fucked up thing, that learning to defend yourself, you're also learning that there is something to defend yourself from. That's fucked. Sorry, just kind of came to me, and I wanted to express this, on the spot. Yeah. So, having that out of the way, I never really had this kind of notion that my boundaries should be respected. Because my own parents didn't respect my boundaries. Although my thinking about my family and my childhood is evolving, and right now I am capable of saying different things about my childhood than, I don't know, a few months ago. Because a few months ago, I was looking for villains in my life. Especially my parents. I villainized my parents to the extent that I was completely blocked to any kind of good memory I've had of them and our time together. I mean, I've spent 18 years of my life with my parents since the day I was born, obviously. And I could not, for the love of me, think of anything good that had happened during those 18 years. And I could remember every single bad thing that had happened. I remembered things that I long since forgot. And yeah, that was pretty much crazy. My thinking of other people and of my past evolves constantly and opens me to a new perspective that from my dad. Every time my mom stayed silent when my dad was aggressive, every time I was compared to my sister, every time I was called names by my parents. So yeah, these are the things that I remembered, bad things that I remembered, and much more came out, and I saw them in a different perspective, a truer perspective, I would say. For example, I always thought that my childhood, was kind of normal, right? Like every other kid's. If you did something wrong or got bad grades, that you would take a beating, or that it's normal that your dad comes home from work and drinks a few beers, and things like that, or that he doesn't help around the house, or does it really, really seldom. That it's normal that my mom comes back from work and goes shopping and then cooks dinner and then does some cleaning and then cleans up after dinner and then prepares supper and then cleans up after supper, and then maybe, just maybe, it will happen that she will find a few goddamn minutes for herself while my dad came home from work, sat in his chair, watched TV, and drank beer, and then went to bed. So I thought that's normal, right? If you don't have contact with anything else and no one tells you that life can look differently, then how are you to know? And then when I went to the psychiatric hospital and I started thinking about everything that had happened, it suddenly, everything clicked. Like the abuse I went through as a child, like the alcohol that was always there at home every single day, right? So those things started coming up, and I started to realize that this had a significant impact on my later life. And I am still so freaking angry every time I think about it, that whatever happened to you in childhood will have an impact on your adult life, on your adult self. And I I kind of have this feeling that I don't agree with that. Why is it that whatever I went through as a child comes back to me as an adult and kicks me in the arse for the second time, and the third time, and the fifth time, and the 10th time, and the nth time, over and over again, right until I finally realize that, or I go to therapy because something is obviously wrong, and is like as it shouldn't. And that's when I realized that, there are things I really need to work hard on, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, I still kind of don't like that notion that there are things you suffer from because you went through them as a child, and that they are so pervasive that they continue throughout you being an adult. At least that's my experience and that's my story, because everything adds up. The abuse from my parents that caused me not to have boundaries when it came to my own person. That's why I always went into relationships that were kind of abusive, and always felt somehow inferior. And out of that feeling of inferiority came my frustration and the urge to be something more, and this kind of sick thinking that no, I'm better than this, I'm better than that, and each time I slipped or something bad happened, I took it really, really hard and really, really. Well, of course, I took it personally, but it went way out of hand, and my reactions were through the roof. So yeah, that's my experience. Every single failure was, felt like the world just crashed around me, and everything was useless. Instead of just thinking, okay, either I fucked up or something got screwed or someone screwed me over, but that's not the end of the world. I can still learn from that situation and continue with my life. Just like that. Think of the thing that happened, learn my lesson, and go on. And that's how I would like to say that that's how I react right now, but that would be a lie, because I still have that template imprinted, that when I fall down, when I fail, it's like I still have to somehow fight that feeling that the world is just ending right here, right now, instead of just accepting defeat and move on. And it sounds... Okay, first off, this sounds like a huge pile of bullshit. How can you just move on after failing? No, it's a gross simplification. But what it means to me is that, okay, just getting sitting down with myself and talking to myself. Okay, we screwed up, or something went wrong. It's either our fault or not our fault. Either way, we learn something from that. And okay, this part sounds really naive and sounds really, I don't know, like from a motivational speaker. I hate motivational speakers. But I kind of find it true. And it hurts like a motherfucker to sit down with yourself and just talk to yourself. Okay, it's bad, but what can I learn from this situation? And how can I improve not to go through this in the future? What can I learn from this? And that happens not that often, not often enough, in my opinion. But that's when my other a ton of other templates kick in, and I start to think, fuck, it's not that easy. Why isn't it that easy? Why does it hurt so much to learn something? Why do I have to learn something? Why did I fall again? Why did something bad happen? And why and all those questions and doubt, a lot of shame that come with this feeling of being defeated. But it happens more than it did in the past. And that's the thing I want to focus on. That there is improvement, that there is change in my life for the better. Like I've said before, life now hurts like a motherfucker. But I wouldn't change it one bit, or I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. Okay, it's not true, but I don't want to talk about it. It was just I'm sorry. I just spoke. I spoke sooner, quicker than I actually thought, and it's not like I wouldn't change anything in my life, or I wouldn't trade it for anything, because obviously I would. It was stupid of me to say. Like I said, I opened my mouth quicker than I actually gave it a little bit of thought, which is again a flaw of mine. But what I really mean is that life right now hurts. There are times I really think that I want it to just go away. But it's the quality of life is just so much better than it was before. When the only thing I could think about is when I'm gonna get drunk next, or what bad will happen today. When will the bad thing happen? Because each and every single day something had to just go wrong. Something had to be fucked. And I lived in the constant feeling of danger all around me. Can you imagine the stress that a person goes through, thinking every single day something has to go wrong? And your reactions, however inadequate as they may be, are that you're gonna die, right? Something bad will happen and you're just gonna die, and you know that it's gonna happen today, and you just wait for the thing to happen. And this goes on for years. Not that many people, I can only imagine, can relate to this, but far more than are willing to admit, and far more than should. And that's partly due to the fact that I didn't respect my boundaries. And if I didn't have this notion of respecting my own boundaries, how could I have ever respected somebody else's boundaries? I don't know shit about my own boundaries. So whenever someone tells me about their sense of boundaries, I don't really understand and I don't really relate. I am a threat. And that's something, once I've internalized that I am the assailant, I am the threat, adding that to this this side of me, this part of me, which is addiction and everything that came with actively drinking, with being an active addict. This cocktail, caused me to internalize the notion that I am a threat, and I am only a threat, and nothing more. And therefore, I am dangerous, and I don't deserve to have my own boundaries to be respected. And I don't deserve anything good that may happen to me, because I am the threat. I am the bad guy in this narrative. I don't know if you're getting this. I know that I am 100% sure that people who are struggling with the same thing can absolutely relate to what I've just said. Or at least have the idea of what I'm talking about. The living with this kind of way of thinking about myself, that I am the danger in the narrative, I am the threat in this narrative, is extremely destructive. Because once I've internalized this, how could I ever be anything else than someone who is a constant threat? I really would like to improve. I really would like to do something else. But how can I? I mean, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. This trap of thinking. If I am incapable of doing any good, how can I expect anything good to happen to me? And the circle continues on so many different levels. And it's actually quite recently provided the 37 years of life that I've experienced somehow. And have lived through again somehow. For years I have struggled with this feeling that I shouldn't be alive, that I should unalive myself, but I'm too cowardly to actually do this. That the world would be a better place if I just stopped existing. And I never actually had. Okay, I did have suicidal thoughts, but these were thoughts that actually, I mean, I didn't actively think of going through with it, but the feeling that I don't deserve to live and that I shouldn't live was a constant companion. I would wake up, hope for the best. Something would eventually have to go wrong during the day. Everything would get fucked. So it would just be easier not to exist. And I should have died. And it's because I've also heard so many good things about myself. I've heard so many good things. I've heard that no, that's not true. That's something a person would say when they're extremely in an extremely nervous state, extremely angry, and that's not something a person might actually mean by saying to someone else that you don't deserve to live. Why are you still alive? There are so many people who would really appreciate the gift of living, of continuing to live, of fighting against really dangerous diseases, illnesses, sicknesses, anything, right? Or just living, and they would be so grateful and would appreciate it. And you, I mean, come on, look at you. You're just plain evil. And when you're in a state like I was in, when you hear something like that, this part got to me, and each time I've heard a gazillion times more things good about me than those bad things, but only the bad things stuck with me. I internalized the bad things and completely disregarded the good things, because obviously I am the dangerous part in this narrative. I am the person that is dangerous, that is a threat to everyone around him, and that everyone should look out for me. I mean, not look out, but watch out, because I am dangerous. I mean, not dangerous in a way that I ever raised a hand against someone. I did have from time to time outbursts of anger because I completely couldn't control my emotions. I was incapable of living my emotions and feeling actually them and being connected to them, and existing with what I've been feeling. So yeah, the slightest thing would tip the jar, and I would explode in a fit, and then I would feel shame and sorry. And it was in regards to objects. It was never against people or animals. I mean, and I really do mean that literally. I would sooner die myself than let anything bad happen to, say, one of my cats, who I treat as my children. I am really attached to them, and I really love them. And like I said, I would sooner die than let anything bad happen to them, or kill than let anything bad happen to them. Yeah. But that's another story. So I'm the bad guy. I don't deserve to live, and these are the things that I was stuck with. No matter how many good things I heard about myself, it never stuck. I only internalized the bad things and never the good things. I was always in doubt of my qualities. I was always in doubt of my resources. I mean, I didn't think that I had any, and I'm just now figuring out that I actually do have good qualities, that I have something good in me. I mean, I did kind of have this feeling that I have something good in me, but right now I am learning to name those things that are good about me, and name the things that are bad about me. My bad qualities, or my or what I am incapable of. And I'm learning this right now because I am, I don't know, around 2 years abstinent, and I'm starting to sober up, and because sobriety is something different than abstinence. When you're abstinent, when you're abstinent, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're sober, because to me, sobriety means that you are capable of thinking. Period. Of realistic thinking. That you can act on data and not on emotions, not on craving substances. Because when you crave substances, you will do, I mean, without therapy, without professional help, when you're craving, you will do absolutely everything and anything to get your fix. It's like you see it in on TV, you see it in shows, and the last years of my active addiction, when I was drinking, it's not like I drank huge amounts of alcohol. My consumption was fairly limited, but when I didn't have money to buy alcohol and I couldn't steal money in my own household to get alcohol, I stole alcohol in the shop. Right? I went to the store and I found a place where the cameras couldn't reach me, and just, tucked bottles of alcohol in my pockets, or food that I wanted, because I not always had the chance to eat, and I started stealing, and it started to get a little bit out of control, and I got a bigger fix from the act of stealing itself, than from consuming alcohol later on. So yeah, that and those weren't big amounts of alcohol. But I lived with this constant thought in the back of my head: when will be the next time I have a drink? And yeah, that's the thing, that's the type of life where I didn't have any idea what my good qualities are. I could name all the bad things that I thought were real, but not necessarily. Because when I was in active addiction, I thought only the bad things about myself. Because when you're only the bad guy, hey, what else can you do? I'm sad and I need to not be sad, so I'm gonna drink not to be sad. And the list goes on and on and on. It didn't matter actually if I really felt sad or happy. I just needed a drink, and that was my ultimate goal in the end. But I going back to Boundaries, it's also it kind of one of the huge biggest elements of of this state and the problems that I had was not having my own boundaries, because my parents stepped on my boundaries and never taught me to have any. I never I never, told anyone not to step over my boundaries, and everyone therefore could. So yeah, that was basically my life and all my life choices. I felt incapable of standing up for myself. The only things that I knew how to defend myself was just the flight or fight response types, right? So you can either fight, you can flee, or you can play dead. And I had only the last two, and I've mastered them. Running away from problems, or pretending that they don't exist. And it even went to a degree when I was confronted with a problem, I would completely freeze. My brain was like, okay, shutting down. Fuck it, we can't do anything. We don't know how to process this situation, so we're gonna go full shutdown. My mind was blank. I couldn't say a fucking word. I was out. Eyes open, but kind of unconscious. I found myself incapable of any kind of response, which only made things worse, far worse. So I and these were the only ways I developed to defend myself. I never could actually stand up for myself. And this is the thing that I am learning right now as a 37-year-old adult. Trying to learn that I have my own boundaries and no one's gonna look after them. Only I can look after my own boundaries. Because I can't really assume, not in this world, that anyone else will, not step over my boundaries. I would like to assume that, but I'm still not there yet. So yeah, this thing about being constantly vigilant and looking out for myself, not for anyone, for people who might step over my boundaries. It's kind of tiring, but at the same time, I know that when someone does somehow attack me, I know I will be able to defend myself. And I already did. During the last year, I've stood up for myself, I think, more times than throughout my entire life. And I know where my boundaries are. Okay, they may not always be adequate, or I may be too sensitive about some things, or I may exaggerate things. But one thing is certain: when someone steps over my boundaries, I will defend myself. And that's a really fucking important thing to know about and to exercise. That I have this border right here. And if you try to invade me across this border, I will tell you no. I will tell you stop. And people don't get that. And that's one of the things that really I feel really bad about and really hurt me. And I'm not talking about myself right now. I'm talking about how the world looks like right now. But yeah, let's skip that because that's completely huge and a different topic. So I think I'm gonna stop here. I did talk a lot about myself. Yeah, because I'm spacing out right now. I think I've exhausted myself enough in regards to this topic. So let's finish here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to my rumblings. I hope you did find something for yourself, or at least, doing the laundry or dishes or anything was a little bit more pleasant. Listening to my monotonous monologue. Thank you for listening. Have a good day. And take care of yourself. And believe in yourself. You are so much more than you can possibly know. Cheers.